It's the new movement, DJ Drewski. I'm here. We got Strictly Streets in the building. They pulled up.
No doubt.
BWise, a.k.a. M.A.D Lotti is in the building.
I'm here. We here.
Prince Street.
New music is out, new projects. But before we even talk about the music, because you started breaking down the whole history of Strictly Streets. So for the people that don't know, like myself, from the very beginning, what is Strictly Streets, and then how did it become Strictly Streets Entertainment?
Well, first it was Strictly Street Records when I first came home from Rahway. Right, I was in Rahway State Prison. We was in Rahway State Prison.
Together.
Yeah, that's where we met, in Rahway State Prison.
Which is only like 15 minutes from where we at today.
Right. We was a part of the Lifers group. We was, Lifers group rappers. We signed a Hollywood Basics record label. We did a Grammy-nominated EP from the Lifers group, right, called The Belly of the Beast, The Real Deal. Then later, then we did the album, what is it, Living Proof album. And that was, when Lotti came in, was on that album. Right. And so, then I got released. So when I got released, I wanted to keep it going.
This is in 94?
94.
So you get released in 94. Lotti's still...
He's still incarcerated. Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, I had a longer bit.
He's still there. He had a longer time.
Okay.
Right? I did 10 and a half years. It was time for me to go.
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah, you gave him your time.
I gave it, so I'm out. So.
But how old were you when you went in?
When I first went in, or when I went in on that?
The 10 year.
The 10 years, I was 22.
22. So you going at 22.
Going 22, came out 32.
32.
Yeah.
Did you feel like a lot changed in just the world during that time? From being a 22-year-old, now 10 years later, well, just music and everything in general.
Well, because we was in Rahway in that type of environment, right? Because we was in that type of environment, we were still up on things.
Got you. So you were able to stay in tune.
Right.
It was like a fast-moving, like kind of prison, because that prison allowed individuals to have their own clothes. So like if you was a hustler or whatever, if
you was getting money in there,
you can have all your gear, so and then I always consider it to be like a Hollywood prison,
right?
Because realize pieces of Malcolm X was shot there,
right?
Ocean's 11 was shot there. He Got Game was shot there. So all these celebrities coming through: Spike Lee, Lawrence Fishburne, Denzel Washington,
Tito Fuentes,
the brother Sylvester Stallone, because he did Lock Up there.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
and not only that, dealing with like the Lifers group. We talking about Crazy Sam. We talking about Red Alert. We talking about Ralph McDaniel.
These people.
I didn't know Uncle Ralph was part of the Lifers.
No,
he came in.
Oh, okay. So
they
you're saying
was coming in.
Oh, because of the music.
See, inside the prison, they was allowed to film like different pieces.
Got it.
So I mean, it was going down inside, the belly of the beast.
A lot of action.
Sometimes if you wasn't really tight, you get lost. I mean, I'm talking about as far as like forgetting you doing the bid. Doing the bid because things was moving. It was a lot going on inside that prison.
But at that time too, when you guys were in there, it was a lot rougher than it is today. I feel like.
Yeah, but
but overall,
because we had history though.
Right, you went in with history.
No, yeah, we had history. Like every individual, they do their bid based on their history. Like people know who you are. Right.
Your reputation.
If they don't know who you are, then you got to make them know who you are. And then as that, your bid, becomes easier, right? But because we was doing what we was doing, you know what I'm saying? People like kind of stayed out our way anyway.
Right.
Because we wasn't really on like the nonsense. You know what I mean? We trying to do something positive. We're part of the Lifers group. The only way that you can be in the Lifers group was you had to have life.
Right.
Or you had to have 20 years. Right.
Man.
So I had 20 years.
Under your belt?
No, I had 20 years. I was sentenced to 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Right? He was sentenced to 30.
Got it.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the only way you can be in the Lifers group.
Right, 20 plus.
So, so people ain't really playing with that. You know what I mean? Then we had our own little group. We used to be out in the yard battling each other.
That was my next question. Were you artists before you went in? Like, were you doing music at 22, or that wasn't even a thought at the time?
Not him.
Not me.
Right.
He was.
Oh, so you were doing music before you?
Not doing music. I was basically like influenced. I come up listening to Mr. Magic show.
Okay.
So I was influenced by rap. My brothers, he's a DJ, and I used to grab the mic, during the summertime.
Freestyling.
Just doing, stuff like that. Didn't take it serious at that time. Didn't take it serious, and I was right, once I got locked up.
You had time now.
I was sentenced to a life bid. So I was sentenced to 30 years to life, meaning that I had to do 30 years regardless what I was doing.
Right, right.
So I was fortunate enough to make parole on my first eligibility. So I gave him 30 years, 31 years straight. So I went in at the age of 17, came out the age of 48,
Right.
49 after that, straight.
How do you mentally stay like stable that whole time? Like it has to be
because
rough, right?
I always consider it psychological warfare.
Right.
I see individuals losing themselves, people killing themselves, hanging themselves, people getting caught up on the barbiturates,
Right.
controlled substance, and them controlled medications, you know, just basically like losing themselves. You see? So it was one day at a time. One day at a time. I didn't wear no watch. Didn't want to look at no calendar. And you still don't wear no watch. And I got watches, but this is how that's how that affected me. So it was one day at a time, along with like the family support.
Yeah, but see, you know, it's like I always say, right? You know, everybody, bar none, everybody, right? They react to situations based upon two things: based upon their upbringing and based upon their beliefs.
Right.
Right. So now, if your upbringing is good, once tragedy hit and your upbringing was strong, when you had strong family members, strong foundation, your mother, your father, strong,
For sure.
right? Uncles, brothers, sisters, whatever,
Right.
strong, right? Then you refer back to that. You kind of lean on that, and it keeps you up. If your belief is strong, then it doesn't matter,
Right?
Because your belief is going to hold you up regardless, right? Because you understand, you know, the creation of things, right? And you understand who you worship, how you was created, why you worship, when you was created, you know what I mean?
Right.
So on and so forth. So everybody reacts, you know what I'm saying? Because for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
It's a
So
fact.
every act, right, every action is based upon your belief and your upbringing. If both of them is strong, right, then they can't break you. Because that's what they trying to do. That's why he mentioned psychological warfare.
Right.
Right. I was in the state, and then I was in the feds. Right. And in the feds, they had me on no human contact for 2 years. No human contact.
With not even other inmates.
No human contact.
Damn.
The only thing I seen was a tray pushed under my door. Right. That's it. And I heard people, but I couldn't talk to nobody.
So when they say you in the hole, you was in the hole.
Oh yeah, the hole is solitary confinement.
Right.
Right. And you had different levels of that.
Got it.
Right. Even in the state, you had MCU. Right.
That was a different level.
That's a different level.
I mean, because like in a hole, it's a wing with the tier with cells.
Right.
So you could like, you know,
you can still communicate.
You could be gelling, you know what I mean? Shouting down the tier.
Right.
Everybody telling their war stories like that. Boy, he was isolated.
Yeah, I was
so
isolated.
It wasn't.
Okay.
He had nobody to communicate with.
Damn.
That's
2 years.
2 years.
So how do you pass time?
Reading the Quran.
Got it.
Right, reciting the Quran and praying. Right, like it was a little pinhole in like they blacked my windows out. Like I didn't know when it was night or day. They blacked my windows out, but there was a little pinhole in the little covering or whatever they covered it with, like that plastic, like the stuff you see on the movies. That's what it was. Right, they put a bag over my head, right, handcuffed me and shackled me and took me out the hole and took me to this undisclosed destination, which I didn't even know where I was at. You know what I mean?
Now, can I ask, and you ain't got to answer, but how does someone get that treatment? Like, what did you do to
They
get
said
that
I
treatment?
had. They said I had too much influence on the compound.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Because, see, the whole thing, like he just said, it's a psychological warfare.
Right. I get it.
So you can't be too strong. So if you too strong, you walking too strong, people following you, you talking too strong. You know what I'm saying? You a threat.
Right.
You're a threat. See, I met racism in the state. I met corruption in the feds. It's a difference.
Say that.
It's a difference.
Right.
I mean, those who know.
Right.
Those who don't know.
I get it.
Don't know.
So 2 years, no
human contact.
No human contact.
And no human contact.
Was you allowed to shower?
Yeah, in my cell.
How many? Oh, in the cell.
In the cell, yeah.
Dude, so you can shower whenever you want. It's just
in the
can't
cell.
leave the cell.
Yeah, it was in the cell, but I ain't had no soap, none of that.
Was you getting mail?
It was no. I couldn't get no mail, no commissary. I couldn't get no mail, no commissary, no phone call, no nothing.
And that's all. And this is all that people who are on lockdown look forward to. This is the communication, telephone. They got the kiosks or the visits or mail.
Kiosk now.
Kiosks
the
now.
first
They
one
didn't
in,
have no kiosks then.
they
Yeah,
ain't
they had
exist.
Yeah, it's kiosks now. They
Yeah.
start putting them
Yeah.
together like 2014.
Right.
By the time I was leaving.
They
But
didn't
still,
have that
but
then.
still not making music at that point.
No, for me, right, the
Right.
music came from me, right? I wasn't into hip hop at all. Like my thing was limited, like
Right.
hip hop, the hippie,
Yeah.
Sugar Hill, like everybody loves Sugar
Of
Hill,
course.
right? But then I heard who was it? Queensbridge.
Nas.
No, this is back
Oh,
then.
before Nas.
Yeah, this is back before Nas. This is it was Queensbridge. He was battling with KRS-One. He was battling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I
MC
can't think of his
Sham?
name for
Yeah, MC Sham.
Sham.
MC Shan. Yeah,
Sham, yeah.
I heard Shan. So I was like, cool. You know what I mean? He putting these words together. I'm liking him. I'm rocking
Right,
to
right.
it. But I'm still not really into it. So what happened was my cousin, Amazing G, shout outs to Amazing G, Lifers Group official.
What it is.
Right? My cousin, he told me about the Lifers Group trying to get rappers together to do a EP, right? To get that message out to, at that time, our peers.
Right. Right.
Because we was young too, so it was our peers. Now we trying to get it out to the youth, but it was our peers then. So I was like, yo, I ain't into that rap stuff, man. I ain't, Lotti wasn't in the jail yet. He was in Trenton.
Gotcha.
Right? So I was like, I ain't into that rap stuff, man. What you talking about? He said, oh, you ain't trying to get rap because you can't rap. You. I said, what is rap other than putting two words together, man? Right? So he challenged me. So they had auditions, right? They had auditions because they needed to find the best rappers in the jail so they could put this project together. So he said, why don't you audition? I dare you. Right? So
Put
I
that
said,
pressure on you.
Yeah, I said, yeah, all right. So I get up on the stage and I said something like, I'm going to try to remember what I said. I said something like, I see the guards walking down the tier. I snatch him and throw him off the tier and watch his tears rise back up and splash on the tier. Right? I'm playing, though. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So later, about a week later, they called me in Lifers Group office, and Hollywood Basis was on the phone on a conference call. And they said, well, who said this? And they played it. They said, who said this?
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's me. Right? He was like, we want him. We want him.
Hey,
so
whoever that is, we want him. Yeah.
So my cousin was like, yeah. See, I told you. Right? So that's how I got involved. But so when that happened, then I started listening to like Cool G Rap.
Got it.
So then Cool G Rap was like, right? But then, right, I started listening to like, it was Cool G Rap, it was Kane, right? So I'm like on this lyrical, you know what I mean? I'm on this lyrical high now, right? Because they flowing like crazy. But then I heard NWA. And I was like, that's me, right? I hear that because, that was my life.
Right.
Right? So, you know what I mean? Even though they wasn't the most dangerous group, the most dangerous group was us.
Of
You know
course,
what I mean?
right,
It was
yeah,
us.
clearly.
Right? So, yeah, but that's how I got into it. And then it just progressed from there. I start meeting people. I start, like, owning my craft. You know what I mean? I start being around people who was challenging me lyrically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So then it just developed from there.
So 94, you get released.
Right.
You come home, and the first thing you do is make this.
No. I come home, right? So I'm like, how am I do this? I'm still signed to Hollywood Basics record label.
Okay.
So I'm like, how am I do this? But so my first single was Prison or Streets. So they was like, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't do this, you can't do that. I said, take me off of your label.
If I can't be myself.
I can't be myself, take me off your label. So that's how I got off of it. Shout outs to Diane Razor, right? Diane Razor, Razor Sharp Management and Production.
Got it.
Right? Shout outs to Diane Razor. She picked me up. She actually believed in me before I got released. So when I got released, I came right to her.
But you didn't have music nothing recorded.
No, nothing recorded.
But she was just like, she just loved your energy, which you still forward.
Yeah. So then I kind of met I met this brother called Alizé.
Okay.
Right. He has 8 Squad Rebel Radio right now out of Newark. Shout outs to Zay. So I met him. So when I met him, he said, "Oh, you rap?" I said, "Yeah." Right. He said, "Let me hear something." He didn't believe me.
Right.
Because I guess I don't look like a rapper or whatever. He said, let me hear something. So I spit something for him, right? He said, oh. He started making a beat right there. So that's how we got started. So he did the production on his album. On my first album.
Right, on his album.
On the first album, right. So Prison or Streets. Prison or Streets was the first single right? It's a video to that too on YouTube. Prison on the Streets was the first single. Red Alert didn't like that.
Shout to Red.
Shout outs to Red. He ain't like that. But I should have listened to his wisdom though, because it was too hard to come out.
Just, he's saying the record was too hard.
Yeah, he was saying the record was too hard. You know what I mean? To initially break out.
Right. To come
you know what I'm
with
saying?
the first.
Right. Be a little more, palatable.
Right.
Right. And me being hard headed.
Yeah, of course.
Being hard headed, wanting to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? I didn't listen to him. And so, it got a little play and, it was all right.
Right.
But I should have listened to him. And when I think about it now, I see what he was talking about.
Right. So now, when you're making the new records, you kind of add that approach to the music.
Yeah. Well, our mission now is not to glorify the streets.
Right. That's I was gonna get there. That's why I asked all the jail questions first, prison questions first, so people understand what you represent now, right? So when you hear a song like Ex Gangsta, it's not glorifying that lifestyle.
No, Ex Gangsta is the movement.
Right.
Ex Gangsta is, look at it as ex boyfriend, ex girlfriend.
Right.
So that gangster lifestyle, we put an X to it.
X.
It's done.
It's
because right, exactly. At the same time, not trying to preach to people.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Trying to do it in a cool way.
Right. Instead of being OG ex gangster. It's something similar, but it's different because people now, you still have, rappers and people out there, gangster this. Yeah. And it's a different thing. You said ex gangster because you could tie it in with people coming home. It be some thorough cats in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
They can't handle that time.
Yeah, they get in there.
I'm talking about people with stain.
Right.
People with stain.
Yeah.
Whining. You know what I mean?
They can't handle that.
And then if they make it out, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about how they get weak when their girls stop coming to see them.
Right.
How they get weak, just knowing that they got to do 20 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about that. They come out, and this is how, the rites of passage, how I got twisted up. Brothers coming home from prison, making it, like it was your rites of passage, making it like this is a fun place.
Right.
When, the reality is some people do hard bids. You see, so what we said ex-gangster is look, man, you don't really want to deal with that. And who in their right frame of mind want to give their life 10 years?
Yeah.
20 years,
anytime,
any 1 year,
right?
Exactly.
1 minute.
You understand that, especially if you got children to raise,
right?
So we try to keep it real in that perspective. Ex-gangster,
right? And that's the name of the project, the name of the single,
and the movement,
the album,
and the movement.
Yeah.
See, the thing is with not just this generation, but generations before this generation, that's coming after this generation,
right?
It's the same vibe because everybody think that they know better than the next one, right? Oh, I'm not gonna make the same mistakes or whatever. But you watching the same type of movies. It might not be the same movie, but it's the same type of movie.
Same story in the movie.
Same story. But the only thing that you don't watch the end of the movie. You don't stay to watch the end of the movie. Right? You leave before the end of the movie. Right? Scarface, right? At the end of the movie, what happened to Scarface? He got killed.
Right.
Pablo Escobar, what happened to him? He got killed. Right? What's his name? Chapo. He reading his mail off a screen. Right. You got all these dudes who you idolizing and whatnot, right? These dudes is miserable right now. These dudes don't have nothing. They got all this money on the street. They might not be begging for nothing in the prison, but what kind of life is that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you stay to watch the end of the movie, look at Heat. For those who are into that type of thing. Look at Heat. At the end, Robert De Niro got killed.
Yeah, you realize how it ends.
Yeah.
So it never ends good.
It never ends good.
Look at the story of John Gotti. What they say, gangsters of what? Either dead or in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, excuse me.
Yeah,
dead
or jail.
Penitentiary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He died in prison.
Yeah.
This is the reality. Look at the movie Life with Martin Lawrence. They was getting old. My story. I was watching that movie. I'm like, ho.
Right.
This is. I'm seeing me. Went in at the age of 17, bro. You know what I mean? And all the 20s, all the 30s inside of a prison.
Right.
Damn near all the 40s. That's some real live stuff.
That's
the it's fortunate to make it out. So then going back to the X Games, there's a lot of gangster type dudes on the street right now. 9 to 5 in it. It's 9 to 5 in it, you know. So that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you gotta understand something too. When he came in, I came in initially, right? They was raping kids. Yeah, I mean, it was you know, you had to stand 10 toes down, right? Because it was a world inside of a world inside that prison. It's a whole different atmosphere, whole different rules,
laws, everything,
right? Everything, and you had to be on point. Like it wasn't. You wasn't guaranteed to come out the same way you went in. You understand what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So if you was weak, right? They smell blood.
Right.
That was you was weak, so that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they was around that time. They don't do it like that now. They ain't like that now. Dudes is willingly turning over. They, you know.
I mean, if it going down. I mean, and then I always said like, there's a difference between like the state from state. Like Jersey prisons, you know what I mean? I can't account. We can't account for Ohio, New York.
You did your whole time in Jersey?
Yeah,
in Broadway.
I did.
Trenton.
Yeah, since I had the maximum, so they put Trenton State Prison was like the maximum prison.
Right.
So when you got that type of time, that's where you start at. Yeah. Initially, that's where death row was at. But in New Jersey, since they abolished like the death row, it's no longer. So I did like 5 and a half.
Southern State?
No, that's in Broadway. I mean, Trenton State.
Oh, just Trenton State
Trenton, New Jersey. It's in Trenton, New Jersey,
Gotcha.
Mercer County, right? So after 5.5 years, you know, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
You know, like reality hit me. You know, I'm like
got on track.
Got on track, right? It took me all that to get on track, and I put in for institutional transfer. You can do that if you're chilling.
Right.
And that's how I made the Rollway. Rollway was like a maximum, minimum type prison because you can have a little bit of time to a whole lot of time. It all depends, or if you know, if dude's acting up, whatever, stuff like that. But that's how I made it to Rollway.
Got you. And then that's where y'all connected.
That's where we connected.
In Rollway.
Yeah. Like I was in Trenton. Like I was in Trenton. I was in Southern State. I was in Leesburg. I was in Riverfront. Then I ended up in Broadway.
Got it.
I started what was it? Riverfront. I started Riverfront. Then I went from Riverfront to Trenton. Then from Trenton to Southern State, from Southern State to Leesburg,
that's like an institutional tour.
Right. Yeah, you was on tour.
All the prisons and institutions in the state of New Jersey.
Right.
You saw all
I kept getting charges though. Yeah, I kept getting charges.
Inside.
Yeah,
Inside.
I kept getting charges.
They call them institution infractions.
Right.
Yeah. But it's good that you guys are open to talk about it. Not just talk about it, but put it in the music, because I'm sure today, like you being a father, when you hear some of these records or you see what's going on, especially in New York with these young artists jamming themselves up, pretty much self-snitching on themselves, like from being lifers, what is your opinion on the young boys today? And not being in a preachy way, but just on a, because me, when I spoke up, and because I felt like, yo, it's not about other people. I'm talking straight to the artists, like you're self-snitching on yourself. That was never cool. To commit a crime and talk about it and put it and jam yourself up, right? I don't. But from your perspective, how do you feel about like hip hop today with these young kids and all the drill rap and all that?
I mean, that just goes to show you, you know what I mean, who they really is. Like if a person show you who they is, believe them. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna do something, gangsters, real gangsters, dude a gangster for real, he not talking about it.
Right. I agree.
He not talking about that. You know what I mean? He talk about everything other than that.
Right.
Plus, real, you know, a dude that's real, that's a real dude, right? He might be the politest dude ever.
Right.
That's one thing the feds taught me, right? I done met dudes from all over the country, all over the world, right? That was vicious, right? But they be the politest ever.
Right.
Pardon me, excuse me. I didn't hear that.
Respectful.
You know what I mean? Respectful the whole nine.
Right.
Turn the cheek, though, right? And they'll murder the whole unit.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was in there with this dude. He had like 17 homicides, like 17 murders, right? He had like 17 murders. He was the funniest guy you ever want to talk to, though, right? Big, looked like a biggie. He funny dude, right? So New York, this was in Lewisburg Penitentiary. New York had a beef, so they come to him when they beef, and they come to him. He said, man, I don't mess with you New York dudes. I was killing you dudes on the street.
Right.
You know what I mean? This was him. That just was him.
Right.
He said, I don't mess with you dudes. I was killing you dudes on the street. But, you know what I mean? I just say that to say that you don't know, you know what I mean? You don't know. Like you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So these guys here that they call themselves gangsters or whatever, and they on the record talking about what they did, they asking to be locked up. And then they crying about, oh, somebody told them. No, you told on yourself.
It was you.
You told on yourself.
Exactly.
Then when you get in there, you telling on somebody else.
To get out.
To get out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah. So
trying to get a rep. I mean, because if you got it, your reputation precedes you.
Right.
So you still, you trying to make a name for yourself. It should already be there.
Right.
If you gangster and if it's there, you don't have to talk about what you did. You don't have to talk about what you did. You know, it's
they know.
Yeah, it's something similar like with, you know, like a rich person. He ain't gonna show you his richness.
Right.
The most brokest dude gonna try to look rich, right? You fronting, in other words. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. I take that analogy, be like, bro, if you really about that action, like you said, nobody ain't gonna see it. I mean, unless you make that happen. But if you out, so in other words, they fronting. You know, stop. Be yourself. Be real.
Yourself,
you know, and a lot of people can't do that.
I mean, if that's what you do, that's what you do. You know what I mean? I advise you, you know, not to do it, but if that's what you do, that's what you do.
Right.
But at the same time, you know what I mean? Because those who do that, you know what I mean? I was one of those who did that. You know what I'm saying? Is you selfish. You gotta be selfish. Because if you don't be selfish, then you're gonna start slipping. Right? So you gotta be selfish. But in that selfishness, you hurt your family. You hurt your siblings.
People that love you.
You know, the people that love you and care for you, you hurt them in the process because the inevitable is going to happen. Prison or death.
Right.
It's going to happen. Then what? You know what I'm saying? Then what? But a lot of these dudes, they get locked up, and first thing they do is they call home, tell me, can you send me? Yeah. Can you send me? No, I can't send you. I ain't got no money. You know what I mean? No, I can't send you. And you ain't make no money to get in there.
Rough.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So listen, just be real. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's
it.
the message. And if they listen to some of the music, you're telling your stories. You kind of, you know, giving them the gems on the right way to move, not to make the same mistakes. The new project you told me is about to come out, Ghost.
Ghost.
Where that name come from? What's the title, Ghost?
PTSD.
Ghosts.
PTSD.
So now we jumping in a whole different world.
PTSD.
Look what's going on. I mean, it's individuals killing their families than themselves.
Right.
It's happening.
Right. A lot.
It's happening a lot. Then you deal with this mental unstableness. You know, and it's seen. So it's like ghosts.
But see, like first and foremost, you know what I mean. All of our music come from, you know what I mean, our own experience.
Right.
Right? So I got PTSD. I'm telling you. You heard what I said. I said, yeah, my shadow be haunting me. My shadow be taunting me. Right? Man, I'm not lying. Right? I talk to myself, man. I got to talk myself down a lot of times. Like, stop thinking that dumb stuff. Because I can get on the bullshit.
Easy.
You know what I mean?
It's easy. It's too easy.
You know what I mean?
It's too easy.
Right?
It's harder not to do it.
Exactly.
Controlling your anger.
Exactly.
That's where the strength is.
That's where the strength is.
Controlling,
That's right.
you know, like, man, you don't.
Right.
What?
That's right.
I know what I'm capable of.
Exactly.
The fact that I got to stop myself is where the real strength comes in.
It is. Because there's a lot of, like, dummies out here just, you know.
Waiting to crash dummies. They crash dummies. Waiting to get crashed.
Not knowing, like, this guy did 20, was in jail all his life. This guy, you know, it's
right.
I mean, I was on the street since I was 1979. You know what I mean? And it's nothing. It's
right. I've been through the worst already.
It's nothing. So sometimes you got to probably get it out by just like venting, you know, instead of like going that way, because now you see the repercussions. You see how it affects, you know. But it's like, I mean, like 85% of my dreams has a type of scenario is prison based. I mean, I can have a conversation. I'm standing in the mess hall line. I told him that. He said, "Man, you did a lot of time." So it's like it's always connected to that. Why is that? It's not that I can't or we can't function in society, but it's like I guess this is how that comes out.
That's PTSD. In our DNA.
I think this is how it comes out, but controlling it is where that strength is at. Right now, I'm on parole for life.
Right.
I'm trying to fight it now because when they gave me the life, I made the parole. But even though after I did the 30 years, I still got to be on parole for life.
Of course.
So it's not that parole keeps me there. I mean, I have a lot of other things to live for. I don't give them all that time.
Yeah, of course.
But it's still like, man,
Yeah,
just don't know.
Get it off me. Yeah, like.
No, I'm just saying when you controlling that PTSD. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
Man,
Right.
I don't got no problem with. Are you? But you gotta. It's called ducking suckers. You gotta think for the other individual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you won't put yourself in that situation.
Right.
So
don't allow them to put you.
Yeah, because you don't know. It could be set off, and you like, oh man, I'm not gonna let you. No.
Yeah.
I'm outthink you.
Right.
You gotta, you gotta understand, like, we fight different. You understand what I'm talking about? Because we came up in that.
Right.
I'm from Philly, right? So we fight different. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole different type of anger. So you let that get out of control,
Yeah, it ain't gonna end well.
It ain't gonna end well at
Right.
all. You know what I mean? For nobody. For nobody. You know what I'm saying? So like we gotta control. That's a part of being a man, though. You know what I mean? A part of being a man is being able to control yourself. Right. Being out of control is when females are emotional.
Right.
They emotional. They allowed to be emotional. Be emotional.
Right.
But for men, by definition of the word man, right, you have to be in control of yourself first before you can try to control another situation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that song Ghost came out of that in a specific way and in a general.
Right.
In a general way. You know what I'm saying? So that's where Ghost came from.
And I feel like both of you use the music to get those emotions out, right? Like those frustrations or the sadness, whatever it is, you're using the music to do it.
Yeah, that's how you heard Apologies.
Right.
Yeah. Apologies was like that verse was written for Mom Dukes, because I mean she trooped the bid, along with other family members, but like she passed like 11 months before I was paroled.
Wow.
You feel me? So it's I was waived up to adult court, but prior to that, like going back and forth on probation, being convicted twice as a juvenile, back and forth. It's like and I can't blame. There's a lot of young brothers. They blame. I ain't had no father in the house. My father was in the house. My father was there.
Right.
So it was just the streets excited me. For some reason, being in car chases, shootouts, robberies,
rush. It was a rush.
Yeah. So it was like, and not knowing, how that affected. So I had to dedicate that verse to her. So it's like
when he did that verse, he was in tears.
I know. That's what I said. I could already tell the music.
I was in tears when I heard the track. I was telling her like, "Yo, man, this is it." I was riding, going back and forth to work, just listening, get my verse together. Yeah, that was serious.
My verse of Apologies was more. It was like for my mother, for my father, for my siblings, and for my wife. It was for everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was in gang since I was 5. I was 5 years old, part of the gang. You know what I'm saying? They just like, where you from? I'm gang, right? So my mother was a gang member. You know what I mean? Before that, so I came up in that kind of environment, right? I had gangsters in my family. My family's gangsters
from birth.
My hood,
right?
Gangsters, but you would never know it because they were polite,
right?
They took care of the hood. See, that's the difference in then and now. You know what I mean? The gangsters took care of the hood. They made sure nobody came in the hood with that nonsense.
Right. They still have morals.
When we got on our nonsense, we took it out the hood. We took it out the hood, but that's how it was. That's the difference, right? But so that's how I came up. You know what I mean? Like that. So, my apology was to all of them. That's why I started it the way I started it. It was to everybody, like my mother, my siblings, because they don't mention it now, but it's, they grew up without me.
Right.
They grew up under my rep, so to speak.
Yeah. Your name, under your name.
Yeah, oh, you his brother. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like we said, we hooked up. I was transferred to Royal in 91. He left 94 after we hooked up. He was doing his numbers. Brother, one of the E-mans came to me. It's like, yo, look at the newspaper. I think he gave a newspaper article. His thing was, stick.
Right.
It crushed me, bro. It crushed me. You know what I mean? It really affected me. It crushed me like my girl left me or something. You know what I mean? I was affected in that way. He didn't know it until I told him.
right,
We met back up.
Let's use a different analogy though.
Yeah.
No.
I get what you're
Trust
saying.
me.
Yeah.
He didn't know that. You know, I mean, because I say that to say, like, when we out there doing what we doing, we don't know how it affects
other people.
Other people, like him and another brother. I mean, we got like close, tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Inside the prison. You know, like on some brother stuff.
Right.
On some brother stuff, making music on, you know what I mean? So he was out there like, yo, I got you, you know what I mean? And he was reaching back. You feel me? So when I heard about the fall again, you know what I mean, that was like,
See, my life was, you know, like Heat. You seen the movie Heat?
Yeah, of course.
That was my life. Literally.
Yeah.
That was my life, right? And I went home with the same mindset.
Right.
Right? So just like every generation before me, we're gonna do it. We're not gonna do this.
Yeah, we're gonna get out.
We're gonna do this.
Right.
Right? We're gonna get in and get out. Right? And that was the plan. Get in and get out. We're gonna, you know, we got a few more things to do.
Right.
Then we out, right?
Done.
But we got caught up. See, we don't think about that part.
Of course.
We got caught up. So what happened between the two of us? We got like almost 70 years incarcerated.
Incarceration.
Because when you started in Jamesburg, right, or something like that.
Skillman James. Well, it was
The juvenile.
Oh,
joint?
81.
So total 31, or you had time before
No,
that?
time before that.
Juvenile beds.
Oh,
I do
okay.
Juvenile beds. You know, so like I first got knocked off, started doing time was like 82. Coming home, still doing stuff. Coming home on furlough, still not getting it. I mean, it's just, you know, and then, right. So I got a nephew in prison. You know, some people have to get burned.
Right, yeah.
I had to get burned
to learn,
bro. I had to get burned. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I used to talk to the young brothers coming in through the Scared Straight program, and I could see. I can see it. Y'all have to, some of y'all got to get burned, bro. I had to get burned. I mean, what we said to you, it ain't gonna matter. I mean, and then there's a lot of brothers witness their homies getting killed, going to prison, and don't think that it can happen to them.
Of course.
Until it happened, and bro, he was standing right next to you when he got popped.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
but you think it can't happen.
You untouchable.
And you still in that game. That was to me. I'm hearing bullets whistle past my head and bullets brushing. I mean, next day you back out there like that never happened.
Right.
That's
crazy,
serious,
right?
bro.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
that's PTSD, insanity.
Because unconsciously, right? We signed on the dotted line. We signed on the dotted line. We knew what it was.
Right.
You know,
as you stepped
I didn't
outside,
expect to live this long. I really didn't expect to live this long.
Right.
Praise be to Allah. Like I really didn't expect it. I signed on the dotted line because I knew what it was. I knew what it was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That was the life.
And I just went in. That was the life.
Thought that was the life. That was
so
it.
I started in the juvenile joint. I think I was 16. I did 13 months in a juvenile joint called Cornwall Heights in Philly.
Okay.
Right? Cornwall Heights. I was in the security side in Cornwall Heights, right? Because they had two sides. They had the open side and the security side. I was in the security side, Cornwall Heights, 13 months. Come out of that, then I caught I caught a bid, but this bid made me bitter. I caught 3.5 to 7. 7 years with a 3.5 year stip. It made me bitter, right? The whole bid, all I planned was robberies. The whole bid.
That was what the charge was, though?
The charge was drugs and auto theft.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
But the thing was, and this is the thing, the police planted the drugs.
Of course.
And I wasn't driving the car. So it was like a plant thing, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't driving the car because I was high off that syrup. I was high off that lick. I couldn't drive if I wanted to, right? Because that was the thing back then. Right. So I was high. I was 16, right? I was 16 years old, 17 years old. So I was on 10 years probation. I was on 10 years probation. The white cop, now get this, not the white cop, the white judge. The white judge read the charges, right? So looked at it, read the charges. You know what I mean? He said, this is some bull crap. Throw it out. Throw it out.
Right.
The white judge that I had 5 years probation threw everything out. Threw it out. He seen it was some bull crap.
Right.
The black judge, see, this is the problem with you young, you know what I mean? And gave me 7 years with a 3.5. So you ruined my life, right? Because you didn't want to listen to, the reality of the situation. You ruined my life. You helped ruin my life. You ain't ruin it. You helped ruin it.
He had his own agenda though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He had his own agenda. He had to get his numbers up or whatever it was.
So I came home. After 3.5 years. I made my first eligibility. I came home after 3.5 years. The same day I came home, I took some money. Same day. I wasn't out 24 hours. I planned to do that for 3.5 years. Yeah. I dropped my bag at my mother's house.
I'll be right back.
Right? I dropped my bag. I went and got my man. We stole a screwdriver. Right? We stole a screwdriver and a Long Ranger gun out of Toys R Us. Right? Had a red bulb on it. Right? We went over to Jersey and stole a car, and then we went up a little further and did our little thing. Right? So that was the first day we came home. Period. Right? And that kept going until they caught me.
Of course.
And then I ended up right in Jersey, you know, in the different prisons in Jersey with the 20 years with the 10.5 year stint. Okay. So now I do that. Still same mindset though. Even though I'm doing music now.
Right now
I got the same mindset though. Because again, right, you can't tell me nothing. I'm hard headed.
Right.
I don't care. It is what it is. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. And it don't make a difference. Right? I'm gonna do what I do. Because you gotta be who you are in this life. Right? That's who I am. Right? So I get knocked again. 2 years, I'm out 2 years. Doing good.
Right.
I'm this close. Drewski. I'm this close. Right? I had a meeting with Dr. Dre. I had to do I just did BET. I had to do Soul Train Music Awards and Soul Train. Right? And I had to talk to Ralph McDaniels again about a video.
Right.
I was this close. Right? But I'm still on the dumb stuff.
Of course.
Right? So I get knocked. Right? Federal. They come and get me. They got me. Right? 17.5 years. Right? 17.5 years. My mindset didn't change. It stayed the same. Right? For 10 of those years.
Right.
So had I came home 9 years, 364 days. Right? And 23 hours. Right? You probably wouldn't have met me. Because I've been on the same I'd have been on the same
path. Same path.
Yeah. Right? But Allah is the all-knowing of all things, hidden and open, right? So he left me there. That 10-year mark hit, that light bulb came on, right? You got to change something. You know, this dude younger than you telling you can't take a shower. You can't go out in the yard. This guard is he a teenager.
Right.
He telling you can't
controlling
come out
your life, controlling your movement.
Telling you can't come out the cell. You can't take a shower.
When to go to the yard.
I mean,
when it's mess out.
Yard, you can't eat. What? I can't eat. What you mean? I'm hungry. Can't eat. You miss chow. You miss the chow movement. You know what I mean? So all these things. So now this light bulb come on, right? This light bulb come on because now I start contemplating what I said I believed in. I start reading and contemplating, not just reading, but studying and reading and contemplating on what was said. So what happened was, I'm going to say this in Arabic and English.
Okay.
Right? It was a moment where I was reading the Quran, and I was reading where it said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O ye who believe. Stop. I say I believe. So then you talking to me.
Right.
O you who believe, fear Allah as he should be feared. So now this is a threat. Who's threatening me? My creator. He's telling me to fear him as he should be feared. And then don't die. Don't die. Don't let death catch you unless you Muslim. Right? And then it said, and hold fast to the rope of Allah. For when we found you, you was on the brink of the pit of fire. I broke out in the cold sweats.
Right.
Shaking uncontrollably. Right? I made a sporadic wudu. Wudu is when you wash up before the prayer. Sporadic. And I snatched the rug off my bed and, you know what I mean, start praying. And I promised the change. I promised that change. So I'm not saying I don't still have that stuff in me.
Right,
of
course.
I'm saying now I control it.
Right.
I'm saying now, you know what I mean, I'm not with the nonsense. I duck the nonsense as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? I ain't with it. If anybody beefing with me, listen to this out there.
Right.
If anybody beefing with BWise, you beefing by yourself. You know what I mean? Because I ain't got no beef with nobody.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
BWise.
AKA M.A.D. You know where the M.A.D came from, right?
From what I read, it was from, you said M.A.D magazine.
Well, M.A.D, the name M.A.D came from, like, they used to call me M.A.D when I was young.
Like angry.
Like, yeah, M.A.D.
He was always mad.
But I had fat cheeks.
Okay.
And I got a gap in my teeth.
Right.
So when I used to smile, I used to look like M.A.D on the magazine, right? So they used to be like, you mad, right? So BWise came from my cousin. My cousin, Amazing G, named me BWise, right? Because I would always, like, when they be going through stuff, I usually always talk them down, right? So I turned M.A.D into an acronym. Mad against devils, mad about dollars, mad about, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
However you want to break it down.
Yeah.
Lotti Da. Lotti Da came from my Islamic attribute is Latif.
Got it.
But they were saying, like, it was Lotti Da, they don't care about nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That came, from, like,
before Slick Rick.
Yeah, before Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. No disrespect. But,
shout out.
The people, I grew up around, so it's just like, I just shortened it up, Lotti Da.
Right.
So that's where that came from, so.
There it is. Strictly Streets in the building. You
No
hear the
doubt.
story. The music is out. More music coming. Show me the Spotify is crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate you guys stopping by. We
appreciate
got to do
you
part
having
2
us.
because I'm sure there's a lot more stories.
Absolutely.
It's some good stories that some of these young boys could take from. You know what I'm saying? Just listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to listen and you can learn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shout outs to Recognized Magazine.
No
Champagne in the building. You know what I mean?
Brick City, PSP.
Philly, all day, every day. You know what I mean? BWise, a.k.a. M.A.D, the Scarface of the East Coast. Let's get it.
Let's go. The new movement. We out.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.